Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture on traditional and structural syntax. We will be looking into the parts of speech, especially under the Indian classification of naama, aakhyaata, upasarga, nipaata, and we will be also looking at basic syntactic units and their types, which is your word, phrase, clause and sentence. Okay, we will be looking into all of these topics with examples. Alright, now speaking of traditional syntax, we know that the study on language and the study on grammar, especially in the context of Indian languages, it started off with Panini. Right, Panini was the one who introduced us to the systematic study of the Sanskrit language, the grammar of the Sanskrit language, and not to mention his very famous book Ashtadhyayi, right? He also introduced us to something called Vyakran. Vyakran is nothing but another word for the science of language. Okay, the science of language, the grammar that goes on behind the language comes under your Vyakran. So Indian classification of the parts of speech. What is the parts of speech first of all? Part of speech is your lexical category, the category to which your word in the sentence belongs. It may be of 8 types: nouns, verbs, prepositions, adjectives, adverbs, anything. Okay, all of them are considered as parts of speech and it is reflected in the lexicon itself. Hence, it is known as the lexical category. So, the the English category we have already read about. Now we are looking at the Indian classification, the ones that have been done by the grammarians of the Sanskrit language. Now see, Indian linguistic tradition, this dates back to the time of Panini and it classifies the words into different categories based on what function they are performing in the sentence and what is their syntactic behavior. Okay, which means the agreement and everything. Now, according to your Indian linguistic tradition, you have around 4 primary types of part of speech in the traditional Indian grammar. Okay, so how many are there? Remember, there are 4. According to the English one, there are 8, but over here there is only 4. Which one? The first one is your noun, the second one is your verb, the third one is your preposition or prefix, and the fourth one is your particle. Okay, these are the 4 types under your part of speech in the traditional Indian grammar. Now we will look into each one of them one by one. Okay, firstly we will look into naama. Naama is another word for noun. It is corresponding to the modern concept of noun. Now we've all read about these things when we were really young, right? We studied these in your school, at the level of your school. So what was noun actually? What is referred to as noun? So the problem is that we all know deep inside our head, we all know what noun is, but we are not able to define it. Okay, right now I am going to give you a definition that you can speak anytime somebody asks you what a noun is. Noun is anything that names a person, a place, a thing, an animal, or any abstract concept. Okay, this is the checklist of noun. All the things that fall under these categories, they are all referred to as nouns. Now, naama corresponds to the modern concept of noun. So, naama is nothing but the name of entities like person, place, animal, thing, abstract concept. Now, place, person, thing and animal is pretty much clear. What is an abstract concept? Okay, this might pop up in your head that, okay, what is this abstract? We all know what abstract means. Being students of linguistics, you must know words like arbitrary, abstract, all of these are very basic and very conceptual terms. The word abstract refers to anything that is mental or non-physical. Abstract refers to things that are inside your head, things that you can think of, but things that you cannot have physically, the ones that cannot be perceived using your five senses. Okay, so whenever we think of such concepts, then we have a name of these concepts. For example, anger. If you are not exhibiting acts of anger, acts of violence, yet if you are angry, there is a term for it which is known as anger. Now, what do you think is the meaning of anger? Is it physical or is it non-physical? As long as it is not expressed, it is abstract. It is inside the head, it is a feeling, it can be felt, but it cannot be expressed, and it cannot be felt using your five senses. It can only be sensed inside the brain. Okay, now anger is an abstract concept, but the name anger is a noun. It is a naama. It falls under the part of speech of noun. Now, part of speech, when you have your speech, then you have chunks inside it. You have parts inside your speech, and the speech is made up of syntactic constituents. Okay, that is why it is called part of speech, because your speech is consisting of syntactic constituents, and out of that syntactic constituents you have words, and each word falls into a certain category which is coming under your parts of speech. Okay, so anger becomes a noun despite it being an abstract thing. Similarly, if I say beauty, okay, what is beauty? Beauty is another perception. It is something that you can feel. It does not necessarily refer to something that is visible. Beauty is not always on the outside, it can be on the inside as well. Okay, so when you talk of feelings like beauty, anger, hatred, jealousy, spite, all of this is contained under your abstract concepts. So all of them will fall under the category of naama, noun. Okay.